Welcome back to the Backyard Basketball Podcast.
Liquid smoke.
I'm Braydon Dallas Coltman. I'm here joined by my good man Kristian Steck. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing? It's been a while.
It's been a while. So sorry to our listeners. We dropped this epic podcast and then just disappeared. We disappeared because it was summer, and
and this guy over here had to go on vacation.
I had to go on vacation, but listen, I brought my mic to the beach and I was ready to go. So I don't think this is on me, bud.
Well, it wasn't on me. I was here with my mic too. So
a lot's happened in the last 3 weeks since we talked last. Turns out Ben Simmons is still with the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, and USA won men's gold in the Olympics. That was a bit of a, we didn't know if that was going to happen, but it ended up doing so. So, I mean, good on them.
Was anybody really surprised though?
Well, I mean, earlier, maybe in the playoffs, I guess those first couple games, I don't know if it was that first game against France that they choked, and then everybody was ringing the alarm bells and thinking that this team couldn't make it happen.
Did France play really well?
Well, they played if Evan Fournier in that game played as well as he did in the Boston Celtics last year, I'd probably think a little bit highly of that guy. But who knows? Maybe he'll do better on the Knicks. But
who knows? Lots of players. Well, here's a really fun thing about the NBA. Every year is it's like seismic. The changes and the turnover from players and teams. You don't see it to the same extent in other leagues as you do in the NBA.
Not at all. And I find, maybe this is just my opinion, but in the NBA, this really started kind of that 24-hour sports news cycle where even in the summertime, we started this podcast in the summer, probably. We hit the draft, but then you're saying, okay, well, after free agency, there's a lull in what's happening in basketball sports. But it's like every week there's always new news stories constantly circulating. So you can never get enough, You
can never get enough. Lots of players moved. One notable player that we won't talk too much about probably ever again, Kyle Lowry.
What are you talking about? You know what? I was suggesting, how about this? At the end of this podcast, let's just give a little moment where we can share our thoughts on Kyle Lowry's experience in Toronto. A moment of
silence for the Toronto Raptors moving forward.
I know it's a sad day.
It's a sad day, but here's the funny thing with that. Everybody saw this coming, and yet the minute that he got, the minute he signed to Miami, people were all up in arms. Like, how could they do that? How could they let him go? It's like, are you kidding me? This guy's 35. Yes, he's still quality. He's still, an all-star, but arguably he's won a chip. But you just signed Fred VanVleet to 4 years. And if you're going to re-up on Kyle Lowry, then what does that say to the team? Like this team doesn't need him moving forward. And it's funny to see people kind of not get behind that.
Well, and what are your expectations as a team too, right? And obviously it felt pretty apparent these last couple of years after we won, which was an amazing accomplishment. And we can't, minimize that enough, how amazing that accomplishment was for a Canadian team in the NBA. But you were at a crossroads and you had to make a decision. And I think this is probably the right decision moving forward. But regardless, we will get to a Kyle Lowry moment. I should say we should speak on this at the end of the podcast and give our odes to him. But what I wanted to post to you, man, because the Olympics happened and free agency and even the summer league, take that for what you will.
Yeah, the whole summer league came and went.
Exactly, right? I thought a great way to catch us back up with our podcast moving forward and to start here today is to just talk about 3 teams that either you're hyped for next season, you got questions of, just teams that you're curious about. After everything, the dust is now settled. We have, 3 teams that are on the forethought of your mind. And I thought we could just go back and forth and share our teams. If we have the same teams, that's fine. I'm willing to pivot. And just talk a little hoops and kind of incorporate everything that's happened in these last few weeks.
Right on. Let's talk hoops.
Okay. So, how about you start off? What would be your first team? Doesn't have to be the most excited team that you're looking forward to, but what's a team that you're interested in going into next season?
So the Chicago Bulls made a trade for Vucevic last year at the deadline. And I was quite caught off guard by that because he he's an all-star center. And
Yeah.
this team in Chicago has been kind of at the bottom and they haven't really done anything to, I'd say, like compete, like really compete. And then they surprised everybody to be one of those bubble teams that they didn't make the playoffs last year, but they were hella close. I'm interested to see how much further they can go now that they brought in the speed and playmaking abilities of Lonzo Ball, as well as my man DeMar DeRozan, who I had no idea that would be the team he was going to end up with. All of my thoughts were going to be he is going to either end up in LA, hometown, which he's discussed wanting to do before, or partner up again, Batman and Robin, with his good buddy Kyle Lowry.
Okay, who's the Batman? Who's the Robin in that scenario?
Well, between Kyle and DeMar.
Yeah.
Oh, I think. Oh, that's really tricky now that Kyle has a ring.
He's got a chip.
He does. I still give DeMar the Batman. I'd say DeMar's the Batman. I can't really say that though, because none of them really. I don't think that those are the best duo. That's probably not the best duo combo that you could give those two guys. But regardless, Chicago Bulls, man, this is a team that I'm excited to see what happens, because my pulse is never on that team, and it'll be interesting to see where they kind of fall in that Eastern Conference next year.
Yeah, man. I'm so excited. That was actually one of the teams I really wanted to discuss, was the Chicago Bulls. You can't also forget Alex Caruso. They signed him.
Yeah, recently a felon, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Felon turned Chicago Bull.
Felon turned Chicago Bull. No, I can't express.
What are the cannabis laws in
I have
Ohio?
No idea.
Illinois, Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, Chicago's in Illinois. I don't know. I mean, they're pretty progressive. I really would have no idea. But I mean, I can't have enough love for Alex Caruso. Yeah, I mean, man. That guy, to see he spent about 4 years in LA. How he's matured as a player. I think as a leader, I mean, obviously winning a championship, you're taking that into the room. And so I think it'll probably be good guidance. And, the other thing I'd bring up too about Chicago, and you're talking about Vucevic and why they would bring this guy on. Well, I feel, there's probably some sentiment of urgency for, the Chicago Bulls in regards to Zach LaVine. Because when we look ahead here to 2022 free agency, he's probably, as crazy as this sounds, I mean, I would have to pull this up. We could go into depths about, 2022 free agency, but there's not a lot of great prospects. And probably one of the top marquee players is Zach LaVine. And, the one thing,
no,
let me finish.
No.
The one thing in the Olympics, this past summer that really caught me off guard was to see Zach LaVine on the defensive end. Watching those last couple of games before they won that gold medal, like, he was probably one of the best players on the team. As crazy as that sounds, you got Kevin Durant on the team and he was phenomenal. But Zach LaVine, especially defensively, really held his own. And
because no one else was playing defense.
Well, sure, maybe that's the case, but also you have this amazing opportunity with Greg Popovich. I'm sure he learned a thing or two. And to add that other aspect of his game, these players hear from the news media all the time about, their deficiencies or things that they could work to improve upon. And I'm sure he probably takes that to some extent personally. So you've got a player who is probably, as crazy as it sounds, the best player on the Chicago Bulls, Zach LaVine, right now, prior to all these trades that happened, even before Vucevic.
Yeah.
And you're getting to this point at 2022 where, okay, this guy may walk if we don't do anything. So I think that's why they went out and they tried to see, like, what can we put together? And, on paper with DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball, Vucevic, Zach LaVine, you got Kobe White coming off the bench. Is this all going to work? Who knows? It's kind of a mishmash of players, but there could be potential here to move the needle.
Is Zach LaVine a 2 or a 3?
Zach LaVine is a shooting guard.
Yeah. So tell me how that works with DeMar.
I mean, but he's got size. That's an interesting, investigation, I guess, this season to figure out how you're going to work out lineups, but it could be interchangeable. Maybe you do something, you have them start, but as the game goes on, you have always maybe one of those guys on the court at all times, and it could be been interchangeable because both of them are really good, with the ball in their hands, dictating pace. The first guy to move things on the offensive end. So
I'm going to be the first and probably not the last person to say that I believe Zach LaVine is one of the most overrated players in the league. I do not think that he is a premier player in the NBA.
I think you're selling yourself short, man. Come on. This guy, he's
won a couple slam dunk contests.
Yeah.
And one of them he did not win. Aaron Gordon was the winner of that slam dunk contest back in Toronto.
Zach LaVine, 6'5" shooting guard. He's only 26 years old. He's been improving year after year. I think this kid's got a lot of potential, and he's just entering his prime. So sure, next season, is Chicago going to be a playoff team? I honestly think Chicago will be a playoff team next season.
I think so too, but I do not think it will be because of the weight that Zach LaVine pulls.
Okay, fair enough. I'm telling you, I think this guy will be the leader of the team. I think that
he's gonna win Most Improved Player of the Year. He's gonna win.
Maybe. Hey, right. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Right,
actually, you know what? Put me down Most Improved Player of the Year for.
Tell me what team you're amped to see next year.
One team I'm amped to see, better or worse. I don't know if this team's going to be better next year or worse next year. I think everything they've done on paper, people could tell me probably worse. But the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay. And the reason why I'm most interested in the New Orleans Pelicans is, of course, Zion Williamson. And this is just my sentiment and belief is that if the New Orleans Pelicans, we know about this organization is always kind of second fiddle. In New Orleans, it's owned by the same, organization of the Saints. And I feel like everything in that city is all about football. That seems to be the number one MO. So, when Zion got drafted there, it was kind of like, all right, well, we'll see if this works. It's nice that he went to a small market, but this is, an organization that time in history, Anthony Davis, a clear example, doesn't really have a great relationship in fostering these players to stay there long-term and have success. So I feel if New Orleans doesn't deliver this year, I think it's really going to put a lot of urgency on that team. I'm sure Zion's going to express a lot of discontent. He's got a peer in Ja Morant, who's had some great success these, last 2 years in Memphis. So I think the pressure's on this season. And, they've moved some players. Bledsoe went, Steven Adams went. They brought Jonas Valanciunas in. They were able to make some moves because of those trades at the draft. And one player that actually I found kind of surprising in the summer league this year that was drafted, I think it was 17th overall by the Pelicans, is Trey Murphy III. This player, he is Trey Murphy. I'm telling you, this is a player to look out for this season.
All right.
He is a shooting guard, 6'9", so he's a big kid. And
it seems that everybody's 6'9" these days. Like I think the entire Toronto Raptors, all but for Freddie and Trent, are 6'9".
Probably.
It's the new wave.
And you know what? There's good reason for it because on the defensive end, you've got that size, especially on the perimeter, to hold up against the perimeter shooting. And Trey Murphy, he's great he's pretty good on the defensive end, but he is a silky smooth shooter from 3-point man. And it was one of those things that I thought about seeing last season with New Orleans is they could never get space. And when you've got a guy who's as special as Zion and also an amazing player and Brandon Ingram, like don't get me wrong there. These are amazing offensive talents, but you want to have players around them that can space the floor, especially for Zion Williamson, so he can do what he does in the paint. And I think Trey Murphy is an underrated asset that my hope is this upcoming season is going to help, like I said, space the floor in that regard. Another player that I look out for, I think his name, I believe, is Najee Marshall.
That's not a real guy.
I might hear. Yeah, it is Najee Marshall. So this guy was undrafted this year and he showed up, man, in the second half of summer league. I was watching a couple New Orleans Pelicans games and this guy, like I said, undrafted. He's not very big. Like, I think he's only like maybe 6'5", something like that. And doesn't have like a lot of offensive tools. But the thing I like about him, he's got really good passing. So he's got pretty good vision. He's a good facilitator of the ball, and he's a beast on the defensive end. And that's another thing that I thought about in regards to this team is that you have Zion and Brandon Ingram, who are amazing offensive players, not as great on the defensive end. So when I think about the history of the NBA, usually when you got good offensive players, you're going to want to find as your role guys, they fill up those missing pieces. And I think especially defensively for New Orleans, he will be an asset. And I kid you not, dude, I would not be surprised if Najee Marshall starts at some point next season, an undrafted player in the NBA, which would be awesome. And then on top of it all, which is like probably a point of concern, is you've got 3 coaches in 3 years for the New Orleans Pelicans. So we'll see how that goes.
Who's their new coach coming in here?
That is a good question. Here, I'll pull it up right away.
Can I just ask, like, whose freaking idea was it to not invite Zion to the Olympics team? Like, and then a few days before the Olympics were over, they were like, oh, gee, it was just really too bad we had Kevin Love. It's like, why did you invite him? He did not deserve to be there. Even on cred, he did not deserve to be there.
Talk about washed up player, dude. I'm just saying.
Oh my goodness. But he's doing it to himself. Like, I don't want to spend too much time here talking about Kevin Love, but he's doing it to himself. You see what he did like late in the season there, throwing the ball away and then turning it over or not running back. And like, just stop playing, man. If you're not going to play the game, step aside and let one of these young guys come in, and it just doesn't make sense.
I think they should have had more younger players in the Olympics. I totally agree with you. Willie Green is the new head coach of New Orleans Pelicans. So player turned coach. We see a lot more of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Days, so anyways, that was my first. What's your second team?
Okay, well, speaking of players turned coach, I want to see this Dallas Mavericks team take another step. Luka is going to be the MVP of this league, whether or not it's next year or the year after that. It will happen. And Jason Kidd he had like a rocky start, I guess, with Milwaukee or even with Brooklyn, but he knows how to coach a team. And I think that, the all-star abilities that he had when he was a player, I think will translate and rub off on Luka. And Luka's he's ready. He's ready. However, he could, he brought that Slovenian team all the way to the semis or something in the Olympics.
Yeah, against France.
Like, there's not a ton of competition, but Slovenia, and it's not Slovenia. I'm sorry. It's Luka. Like, yeah. So what he can do in
one-man show.
Yeah, it's a one-man show. And not to say it's a one-man show in the NBA, but most nights it is. And so I'm excited to see the Luka Mavericks take another step next year.
Okay, well, here's my question for you. Do you have hope that Kristaps Porzingis has the potential this season to be able to rejuvenate himself in some form, that either he is a contributor to the team or he's an asset that they could use?
Yeah, I don't think it's about potential. He has it. Potential is like saying, it's whether or not he will show up and then also stay healthy. Like, that's a big thing with these tall men. It's like, can you protect yourself from injury, and can you produce at the clip that you are expecting? He was a top 5 pick, wasn't he? Like, I remember him getting drafted, and the New York fans just went ballistic. They were like, how the hell why did you guys pick him? And then he went off, and all of a sudden he was it doesn't matter who New York has, that's what's going to happen regardless. I think he's still a quality player. It seems like it comes down to like being in the right system, or he also wants the ball. He also wants to be that leader on the team. But I think if Luka can, if Luka can kind of create more opportunities for Kristaps will show up to play. I have faith in Kristaps. I wasn't with everybody who thought he was going to get traded right away. He is a movable asset, if they feel like there's something else that would help the team better, or if Luka's like, hey, I want to play with this guy, I'm sure that he would be the first to go. But I think while they have them, make the most out of them.
Totally. I agree. I mean, I don't know. My opinion is I don't think Porzingis is ever going to get back. I mean, obviously not back to what we saw when he was in New York before his injury. It's a really challenging situation how you can use him as an asset. I mean, for how much you're paying him. The other thing that I was kind of interested about too, as a side note about Dallas, was the contract they sent for Tim Hardaway Jr. I just looked it up here, 4 years, $72 million contract. And I find that is a really attractive contract you could use as an asset potentially.
For sure.
And
I think that was the reason they went after that is because consistency, keep continuity with the team. But also you just, I know they were pursuing Lowry. You lost out on Lowry. They're probably pursuing a few other Lonzo and a few other point guards, lost out on those guys. Keep the continuity.
They still want Goran Dragic. That's what.
Oh, do they?
The grapevine. Yeah. So I don't know what, what the Raps want. Well, that's it. They don't have any picks, man. They've got no picks.
I don't want to. What the Dallas team does?
Dallas, yeah. Like I think this. I know this draft they had 0 picks. What it looks like in the future, it's a bit discouraging.
Well, even I don't know, even a younger player. Yeah, we gotta ship that Goran guy out of here. I can't have a guy on my team that's just making gaffes about wanting to play in Toronto, and then to come out and be like, "Oh no, no, I didn't mean it. You misinterpreted me. I didn't say
backtrack.
I don't want to be here and I want to be somewhere else."
And fumble and land straight on my face.
Yeah, his agent's like, "You done fucked up. So you're gonna have to apologize and then play for them."
That's an understatement.
What a cringy situation.
All right. So my second team, that as crazy as this sound, I'm kind of excited to see is the Sacramento Kings.
All right.
I said it. The Sacramento Kings. And you know why?
Because they're never good.
No, well, yeah, they haven't been very good. But Davion Mitchell, I'm saying it right here, now. Man. Davion Mitchell is special.
Yeah. Well, he won the NCAA tournament.
He did. And some of the criticism to him is like, Davion Mitchell, he's like 22 years old. He's already seasoned. He's playing against children in college, blah, 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 whatever. This kid, I think, has the potential from an offensive end, not necessarily the best defensive player out of this draft. But dude, this guy is so cerebral defensively. I've never seen a player. So get this, I'm not going to lie, summer league, again, take it for a grain of salt. Usually doesn't really mean anything.
Sure. Except that maybe LiAngelo Ball is going to make the NBA.
All right. I mean, yeah, we'll see. We'll have all 3 Ball brothers. I really don't want his dad to be back in the news. Yeah. Moving on. Davion Mitchell. So I was really stoked, that the Celtics, hey, look, we made it to the final game. We're going against Sacramento. Yeah. Peyton Pritchard, which, by the way, just as a little tangent, he's been developing like crazy. He was so good in the summer league. I really like the kid. And he had to leave for some reason and fly back. I don't know. I can't remember what it was, a funeral, a wedding, some event. So he came back to be able to make it to the final game in Vegas. And Davion, and he was playing out of his mind. Pritchard was playing really, really well. And Davion Mitchell just absolutely locked that kid down. Literally nothing Peyton Pritchard could do. How close he was, he would just mirror him every movement that he did. Wasn't making a lot of contact, but was always in his face, just stuck to him like glue. And literally the game ended, I don't know, it was Sacramento had 110 points and the Celtics only ended up with 69. It was an absolute, it wasn't necessarily that the Celtics players weren't necessarily shooting well. It was defensive, demolition of the Boston Celtics by the Sacramento Kings. And it was all led by Davion Mitchell. And I'm telling you, this player,
crazy.
He's not very big. He's only 6 feet. But seeing the 3-headed Hydra, as it were, of Halliburton, De'Aaron Fox, and Davion Mitchell.
How's that going to work?
I don't know, but I think there's some potential there. And regardless how that team grows, again, you could have a really lucrative asset there as well too. That could be really interesting for
out of any of them.
Maybe at the trade deadline, for sure. I would take any of those players. Honestly,
God,
if I was the Raptors, I would be
please,
treasure chest.
Yeah, can I have? I mean, my first pick would be Halliburton. I think that this guy's unreal. But De'Aaron Fox,
Totally, man.
like next to, well, John Wall's probably not even the fastest player on the floor anymore.
It's probably got to be
man
Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be the fastest.
All right.
So,
Well, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Do they keep Bagley?
No, they're gonna. I mean, they've been trying forever to try.
And then they got no bigs, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
They got a few more years to go. They got a few more years, I think. But you're right. If they can hold on to that three-headed Hydra and draft a few more quality players, maybe bring in a couple of veterans, then this team's locked and loaded.
So Sacramento's got one of your favorite centers on the team. What are you talking about?
One of my favorite centers?
Yeah. Can you think of him?
No, not at all.
He was on the Raptors last season. He's your abs. You had a great quip, like a great little song about him.
And that's what you get when you get Alex Len.
There you go.
See, I was thinking Aaron Baines at first, but I don't even think Baines is signed with team. And I think he's like long-term injured from the Olympics too.
That's right.
Poor guy.
Some injury.
I hope he gets
out of here.
But I do not want to see him in the league again.
I have a special place for Aaron Baines.
Yeah, but not on the basketball court. Well, go back to Boston then. Have him sign up. Boston.
I'd take him. Are you kidding me?
Good.
Have you looked at the centers we have?
I'll sign the petition.
Al Horford again? Are you kidding me?
No. Yeah, that's gonna be rough.
All right, what's your what how many teams have we gone through now?
I think we've done 2
I've done
each.
2. Yeah, so this is okay. What's your third team?
All right, baby. I want to see that Lake Show.
Lake Show.
I want to see that Los Angeles Lakers. I want to see I want to see the retirement home team pull up and just dominate. I do though. You know, like this is what every basketball fan wants to see, namely when they're playing on they're playing their 2K and he's just like, and I'll take him and I'll take him and I'll take him and I'll put him on my team too. It doesn't matter that we have 5 centers. It doesn't matter. But I think what I'm most looking forward to is having Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James on the same team. I think this is something that's pretty special for both of those players. They were the 2 star picks. Well, although Carmelo went the year before, didn't he, in that draft?
No, he was the
same
year. Yeah, same year.
So and I think that the only
he was
2
going to go
still playing from that year.
Yeah. Well, he was going to go second member to Detroit, and they ended up taking that Euro guy, and then he fell Carmelo to Denver
or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I'm pretty pumped for that. I'm also pumped to see Russ. It's funny with Russell Westbrook. It's like with OKC, he was the star guy, like all-star superpower guy. Houston, he was, but he was kind of under Westbrook. Washington, he's washed up. And then he gets traded back. He gets traded to the Lakers. And all of a sudden he's this all-star again before he has even played a single game. He's still the triple-double king. You can't take that away from him. Is he going to put up those numbers? I don't think it matters. So long as he can dish those assists, he's going to be unstoppable.
He ain't going to put up those numbers because LeBron's going to sit down with him and have a long, hard talk and be like, look, Russ, the shit that you did on those other teams, the buck stops with me. All right. We're running what I'm going to run, and this is how it's going to work.
And Russ is probably all for it, man.
Oh, for sure. And hey, I'm going to push back on you a little bit. I don't think he was completely washed out in Washington. If it wasn't for Russ going to Washington, I don't even think that team would have made it to like the play-in tournament.
No, I'm with you. I don't believe that, but that's what the media kept going after. It's like, well, what is Russ now? It's like, well, he's on the Wizards. And now the Wizards are even more the Wizards with Kyle Kuzma. I mean, I liked Dinwiddie, but I don't think this is going to be a good place for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with you, but I also think Dinwiddie's options are a bit limited for availability of point guards. I mean, Schroeder being a case in point example of what happens if you wait out too long. Jeez.
Well, yeah, or turn down money, you greedy pig.
Oh man. Yeah, well, I can't remember how much money he was going to make, like upwards close to 50 million, and now
I think it was a 4-year 80 mil.
That's insane.
That's
and now
what Lonzo got.
he's getting like 9 for 1 year out of Boston.
Yeah.
That's
it's ridiculous. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this Lakers team. They've got a whole bunch of old men, and I would really like them all to win a ring and then retire. Can you imagine if the entire Lakers team retired next year?
Even Anthony
awesome.
Davis, he's like, I'm out.
Yeah, he's like, I'm done. No, I got 2. Oh, LeBron's not playing? Nah, I'm done.
Yeah, he's not gonna be on this Lakers team anymore. I'll go do something else. Do you think the Lakers are they gonna make the finals?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Who? Yeah.
Barring injury, of course. And I think that their stiffest competition is going to be Portland.
Yeah. What are you smoking, dude?
Yeah, because I don't think
Portland.
Yeah.
Why? Because you don't think Lillard's going anywhere?
Because I don't think the Warriors. I think the Warriors are going to stumble late in the playoffs.
Okay.
This is very hot early take from what I've seen. The Clippers are going to be good, but they're going to get bounced again.
For sure. Well, you don't have Kawhi all season,
good, but they're not going to be. They're not. Yeah, and then the rest of Houston's not going to make it. OKC's not going to make it. Minnesota, Sacramento, New Orleans. None of these teams are going to make it. Dallas might be the argument there for me. Dallas and Portland will be the issue, I think, for the Lakers.
That's really interesting, man. I don't know. I think Golden State.
They're going to get Clay back around Christmas.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
2 lottery players now, which is going to be interesting to see if they even get time.
Yeah,
it's still Curry's team, but I don't know, man. The fire that was put under, the difference there. Curry, how many rings has Curry won? Dame 3. Is due for something like that, and he wants it. They all want it, but Dame has been burnt, man, there's something about Dame in the playoffs. It's just way too scary.
You don't think it's going to be Damian Lillard winning a chip down the road with the Philadelphia 76ers in a Ben Simmons trade?
Well, my take would change if there was a trade involving Damian Lillard, but until then.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just going to put as a segue, though. There was a guy that I read recently. I think his name's Phil Buckner, who Daryl Morey, he's such a crafty son of a gun, signed him to Philly. And this guy is like one of Damian's really close confidants. He worked with him like way back at Weber State when Dame was in college and whatnot. So I don't know, man. I'm just saying, it seems like the breadcrumbs are in place that maybe by trade deadline here this season, we might see a Simmons Lillard extravaganza. But
it really depends how many bricks Simmons throws and if anybody ever wants to trade for him. Because this could be not the exact same thing, but a very similar situation when Dennis Schroeder held out on taking that money. If you hold out on this deal, Daryl Morey, you might lose out. You might lose out the massive picks that you're after.
Can I just say that I am like so sick and tired of seeing these flipping video highlights of Ben Simmons shooting 3-pointers. And it's like, oh, he's working on his game. Watch him just do these easy step up 3-point shots, like no hand in his face and stuff. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, you're going to show me a 20-second clip of you hitting like 2 or 3 threes. It's like, how many did you miss? Like, I would honestly be happier if like I literally just saw nothing, like no video, just you like in a cave, I don't know, somewhere on an island somewhere where you make your own makeshift basketball hoop. And it's just like every day and night, this is all you're doing. No Kardashian BS, no blah, blah, blah. It's just basketball.
I don't think that Ben Simmons has the capacity for that.
Fair enough. Okay. My last team I'm most excited. Well, okay. I'm not most excited, but I am curious about, and this will be a good segue, is Miami Heat. Our boy, Kyle Lowry, gets to reunite with his one of his best buds, and Jimmy B.
Would you say Batman and Robin?
Okay, in that scenario, I don't think Jimmy Maybe Jimmy Butler's the Joker. It's
Yeah,
like,
all right.
the Joker and Kyle Lowry is like, I don't know.
The
He's like
Penguin.
yeah. Maybe the Penguin.
Nice.
I don't know, something like that. Anyways, I thought Miami did a pretty good job in keeping their young, stars. We were hearing about trades and what was going to happen, and they really wanted to get Kyle Lowry. And at first I thought maybe they were going to move Duncan Robinson, and then they brought and kept him. Keeping Bam Adebayo, having Bam Adebayo have this experience of going to the Olympics. And I'm sure that that's always, brought value. It seems like for these kind of guys having that kind of experience, you keep Tyler Hero. I don't know. I think this is a team. They took a step back, obviously, this past season. And the way that this team is built, and I feel like imagining how it's going to operate in this upcoming season, I think there'll be, almost positionless basketball, a lot of ball movement. It's going to be really hard to lock these guys down. I feel like it's going to be a very fluid team, shooting a lot of 3-pointers. The floor is going to be really spaced out. Bam Adebayo is going to be able to do his thing at the 5. I feel like this could be a team that might catch some heat and catch some teams getting close to the postseason off guard. And maybe make a splash in the postseason. Presenting itself, how everything's kind of shaked out in free agency, and especially the East always being a bit weaker than the West. So I'm excited, man. I think Miami's going to be a great team. I would love to see a Miami Heat Brooklyn Nets series in the playoffs. And I would love to see that go to 7 games, because I don't know about you, but I feel like, this upcoming championship is the Brooklyn Nets to lose, in all honesty, if everybody's healthy. So to see, a team like Miami really punch them in the face hard would make me happy, and, give something to really fight for. So
You think KD and Kyrie are a better duo than LeBron and Russ? LeBron and AD?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I do. I think with Harden, KD, and Irving, it's literally Brooklyn.
Oh yeah,
if they stay healthy.
Jimmy Harden guy.
That's right. I think
they don't have a match for Anthony Davis.
It's Brooklyn Steelers. What do you mean? They got DeAndre Jordan,
right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but DeAndre Jordan's going to be checking Dwight Howard. So
I want to say, I'm just looking him up right now. What was the guy's name? Was it Cameron Thomas? No.
Yeah. Cam Thomas. Brooklyn.
But I'm thinking the guy who got drafted. He was drafted late.
Yeah. Cam Thomas, I think.
Let's see. He came out of LSU.
Or maybe Cam Johnson.
Yeah, I feel like it was something like that.
Yeah, he lit it up. How did he fall so far? I mean, I guess that's how it goes with scouting, especially limited scouting this year.
I cannot find his name. They got Bembry, Claxton Durant, Blake Griffin. Can't forget about him. Joe Harris, James Johnson. That's so crazy. And Patty Mills, flipping Patty Mills on Brooklyn, man. Brooklyn's gonna be so good. I can't see his name right now. Maybe for next week I'll remember it. We'll talk about him more in depth. But I know there was this amazing player who got drafted late. He was 50th or something like that. It was almost a steal. Brooklyn looks scary, man. They look scary. They look deep. Steve Nash,
Cameron Thomas, LSU shooting guard. Yeah, it's Cam Thomas.
Maybe that's who I'm thinking about.
That's who I guarantee you.
That guy. That's probably who I'm thinking about. This guy was really good in the summer. Really good in college. Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, that wasn't a team I was really going to talk about. But
no, you were going to talk about Miami. The big thing with the Miami, because I do like the makeup of this team. This is a really good mix between young guys and some vets in there, especially with Kyle Lowry, who's just going to have a ball with his buddy Jimmy Butler and being in the nice hot sun South Beach. But they held on to Victor Oladipo, and if this guy can stay healthy, I would love to see a return to form. It won't be the same form, but some sort of productivity from Victor Oladipo could be a great asset for that team moving forward.
Could we see a potential 6th man of the year with Victor Oladipo coming
bro,
off the bench?
I'd be so on board with that. I love this guy. I think he's awesome, and I think he's, he had a lot to prove he's bounced around so many teams. He's just trying to stick somewhere, and he's just trying to stay healthy on top of it all. So if he can, I'm all for that. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm for it too, man. I'm for it too. Well, okay. Like I said, I'd love to, Kyle Lowry, how many years? He was 9 years with Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Well, who knows now? And who cares?
Well, what are your sentiments? How do you feel about the Kyle Lowry experience in Toronto?
I think Kyle Lowry was the best player to ever don the Raptors uniform, and I think he will go down that way until the next guy. I mean, I think Kawhi was arguably the turning point for that team. Carter kind of led the way, McGrady led the way, DeRozan led the way, and then Kyle came in and really, I think the biggest thing with Kyle, I think for me, is that he was between he and Masai off the court, Kyle on the court, was the guy that really changed the culture in that locker room and on that team, the winning attitude. Because they were close. They were really, the North. Once the North started, they were on track to win, and then it happened. And I think that a huge part of that, is Kyle Lowry, and he will forever be, to me, the greatest Raptor they've ever seen. So I'm hoping the minute he retires, they're putting his jersey up there. So
for sure.
Bargnani will be like, yeah, well, I wore number 7. Be like, okay, primo pasta.
Yeah, that's right. You got a Hall of Fame elsewhere, buddy.
Yeah. You go eat your primo pasta elsewhere. We'll just
celebrate our championship. That's right, man.
Yeah, no. What about you? What are your thoughts on Kyle moving and Kyle as a Raptor?
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I think he was the best Raptor we had. We had some amazing Raptors, some incredibly talented players. Maybe some players you could look at being more talented than Kyle, but nobody was better than Kyle in terms of leadership. I think, like you said, helping to establish the culture. It was him and Masai that really led that way. He was more outspoken. I think, DeMar, there was a bit more of a quiet temperance, I felt like, for him. Not necessarily on the court, but off the court. And I think that's just his nature, and there's nothing wrong with that. But and he was an important part to establish, the Raptors to be as they are now. But Kyle is just so synonymous, I feel like, with the team. You really can't separate the team in his name at all. And I'm just grateful, man. I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for even my ignorance back in the day where, the two of them were really working out, and I was like, move his ass, man. Like,
well, everybody
Kyle
did.
Lowry.
There were trades to New York that were vetoed like that. It was, we were really close to losing him. And when he first got traded too, he did not want to be here. He did not want to be with Toronto. And if you remember, he was backing up Jose Calderon and Marcus Banks. Like, he was a third string guy who turned the whole thing around. He turned the ship around because he bought in, and because he bought in, the rest of the teammates bought in, because the rest of the teammates bought in, We the North was created. It's a movement, and he paved the way, and now basketball in Canada is all that much more stronger because of it. So absolutely, Kyle's legacy is huge and deep. Its roots run deep in Canada for sure.
Yeah, that you can put it any better, man. Yeah, because I agree with you, especially his relationship with Canada and how he feels like towards Canada. I don't know. He just has a special place in my heart, man.
Yeah, man. Rock solid.
Yeah. Well, look, we did it. We're back. We're going to be doing this, on a regular basis. I'm so excited to talk more basketball with you, man. This was fun. I'm glad we got to do this.
Right on. Well, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. This has been the Backyard Basketball Podcast. You can find us every week on, I think we're going to be coming out Wednesdays, produced by the Ordinary Podcasting Network, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.